first came across your work here, but quickly began to love a lot of your 90s image stuff, which was absolutely fantastic, like Freak Force.
Yeah.
You were one of the absolutely, in my mind, one of the pinnacle people in comics for helping to found Image Comics and everything that has become in the many years since. But what was it like? I'd like to know back in those early days, you know, when
Well,
Image first started.
It was pretty crazy. It's when we first started Image Comic. Yeah.
You guys, if anybody isn't aware, Eric and a number of other creators broke away from the major publishers and formed Image Comics, and Image Comics has become today one of the absolute, in my mind, one of the creative titans of the industry for truly individual books that allow for a lot of creativity to be given to.
Yeah, no, I mean, because at the time, Marvel and DC owned everything, and so if you were to create a character for Marvel or DC, they would own it. And I mean, there's good parts and bad parts of that, but the bad part being that you can get fired off the character that you created, and somebody else could take it over and do something completely different with it that you had no intention of doing. And that sort of thing had happened in the past, where people had something that they created out of nothing, and then it wandered off, and suddenly somebody else was doing something with it, and it went and became something else entirely.
So you created a house that allowed creators to maintain control of their own characters, and
it worked out rather well, and I've been able to do my same book and my same characters for the last 23 years, which, you know, there's very few people have been able to stay on any book for anywhere near that length of time.
I consider, like, in terms of the bigger companies, like something like Chris Claremont's 17-year run on the X-Men is something that's almost unheard of in that area. But in creator-owned, to be, what are we at now? It's plus 200 issues of Savage Dragon at this point?
Yeah. I'm working on issue 207.
What was it like to hit 200?
Oh, it was all right. I mean, each issue along the way, you're doing it page at a time.
Yeah.
So you don't really sit down and think, I'm going to write my 200 issue epic. You sit there and think, I got to get through this month or this issue, and then eventually you look back and go, well, those are sort of stacked up a bit.
Yeah. Well, you yourself worked in the publishing end of Image Comics initially. And what was that like? In those early days, I always pictured it as being kind of crazy because of the way it broke off.
At the point that I was publisher, that was just a few years back. So that wasn't really early on. We were fairly well established at that point.
Hi, David. Welcome to the stage. Please, everybody, give it a round of applause for legendary artist David Lloyd. Welcome, David.
Well, thank you.
We're just saying, I'm just kind of giving an introduction to kind of everybody, and I've put together some slides of some work. We're just talking to Eric about Image Comics.
Yeah.
So what I really wanted to get from you guys is everybody here has worked on really well-known and also creative characters of their own. So I kind of wanted to just get a bit of perspective on what it's like to go from somewhere in the bigger companies and then to work more creatively on something that is probably more of a passion project for yourselves. In David's case, I'd like to draw attention to the fact that V for Vendetta was one of the most popular graphic novels of the 80s, or most popular comic series. But now you work almost primarily, I'm a big fan of your Kickback that was done a few years ago, and I'm a very big fan of Aces Weekly. I personally, as an independent publisher myself, I'm looking to go that digital route, and you seem to have perfected it from what I can see. So just from each of you, what's it like to kind of go from those bigger characters, in your case Eric, like Amazing Spider-Man, and then to go and do Savage Dragon for 200 odd issues? What's the difference in it? You know, what drives you when you're doing these things?
What drives you?
Primarily money.
Well, no, it's